What's going on, everybody? Anthony Campo here with Battle Ready Business. And today's episode, I want to dig into the two best investments you can make as a business owner and go deep a little bit with that. So we'll get started. The question is, what does it take to build a Battle Ready business? What does it take to dial in your marketing, sales, fulfillment, and leadership so that you can go to war in the marketplace and win? My name is Anthony Campo, your host and chief coach at Battle Ready Business. This is the Be Battle Ready podcast, Daily Battle Edition. And on a daily basis, we're going to take a deep dive look at what it takes to win in the marketplace. So sit back, relax, and I'll see you on the other side. All right. So just coming at you again today. And, I've been producing some videos to promote my upcoming course launch or program launch, the 90-day battle plan. So the 90-day battle plan is a group, mastermind with course activity where we're going to not only frame up and set targets, what your business is going to look like in 24 to 36 months, this by the end of the year, but primarily in the next 90 days, and build out a campaign campaign that'll align your marketing, sales, fulfillment, and your team, aka your leadership, to just crush it in the next 90 days. That one starts off April 1st. And what I want to talk to you about, and part of why I bring that up is, today's topic was, brought up by these videos. So the work that I've been doing to, bring these videos up and shoot these videos, one of the topics that came up for one of these videos was about, the number one and number two investments that a business owner can make. So I want to talk to you today about that. So the number one and number two investment you can make number one is the investment into yourself. Number two is the investment in taking the profits from your business and invest them back into the business. So let's start with number one. The number one, it's very simple to grasp of what you're accomplishing with the number one investment by investing back into yourself. The first thing you invest into when you invest in yourself is mindsets. The second is skill sets. So when you invest into mindsets, you invest into seeing the greater possibility, seeing what could be. And, the first time I ever came into this, one of the first times, there's two different times that I could, actually, let's talk about this. I have two examples. And the first is about mindsets. And it was when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think I was 24, 25 years old. My mom, I had an experience into real estate and what the possibility of real estate and business ownership. Eternally grateful for her influence in that. But there wasn't much beyond, buy real estate, buy a house, start a business, and that, right? I mean, that in itself, if you just follow that, you can do really well for yourself. I ended up picking up Rich Dad, Poor Dad and reading that and really expanding what the possibility was, right? Like that book, and it's, a lot of people talk about it. A lot of people, business coaches talk about it. A lot of people have read it. A lot of communities have been built around it for the cash flow games and that. But it was transformational for a lot of people, and especially for me, because I read that. The thing is that I think it was 2006 because I just bought a house. I bought that was my second house. And this house itself wasn't for a business purpose. My first house was as a business. We ran a senior care facility out of a house. That was the first house that I got. And me and my buddy decided to buy a house together. And about a few months into it, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it was like, it completely shifted my mind of why to buy a house. Now, my first acquisition of a house was right. But I started to look at the cash flow that would go out every month towards that house. My half at that time was like $2,700 a month. And, like just prior to that, I had, we were just hitting this point where the business, the first house and the business attached to it was doing really well. And being 25 years old and having that cash flow, and no really skill sets of how to manage it, like I went out and bought a house, which a lot of people do. But that book kind of shifted and I was like, okay, I need to get out of this house. Like I need to sell this house. I need to do something different. I don't need to be putting out, $2,700 a month just to pay for this house, right? For half a house. So that's an example of the investment into that book. And that was a small investment, shifting my mindset. The next thing about shifting my skill sets was a course I picked up by a coach at the time. Her name was Beth Schneider of Process Prodigy. And she was an operational guru. She had systems, she had tools, she had courses to teach you about all this, to teach you about, how to build systems inside your business. And she was a complete, influential person inside of what I applied to my business. I ended up hiring one of her coaches and consultants, and we worked together for a bit, and we built little systems and met and did all this other stuff. And it was great. It improved my business. See, that was an example of a skill set. That investment was an investment into a skill set that provided me the basis to actually learn how to build systems inside of my business. When I first came across that, I was probably 25, 26. Again, if you've heard my story, I wasn't, I wasn't a good student. I went to school to play football, and I had, the only jobs I ever held were being a valet and working in a deli. I think I sold Cutco knives to like 3 of my family members. Haven't mentioned that much before. But that investment, be it what it was, forget what it is now, but that expanded. And then that allowed me to see what was possible. So that was the number one investment. And over the course of my life, investing into my own self, into my mindsets and skill sets is paid off exponentially. And then the number 2 investment, what I primarily want to talk about today, is the investment back into your business. So I knew this back in, when it was time to expand our current footprint at the gym when we were going into probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. We were growing. We were in like 2,600 square feet, and we were probably 175, 200 members, something like that, and things were tight, and it was time to expand. So that allowed me to expand and bring on more classes and customers and stuff like that. So this is an example of there's a few ways to, if you go back probably 10, 15, I don't know, one of my episodes, I talked about operational capacity. And your operational capacity is the ability for your business to get things done and produce results, right? And that's made up of, the technology that you have, the software, the team that you have, and their team brings on energy, time, creativity, skill sets, and mindsets. So it's a collection of all these things. So yeah, I inherently knew if I expanded my business, took on more space, I can handle more customers. One thing I missed the boat on was an opportunity at the beginning of 2013 of actually, probably going down and reinvesting, taking a good sum of savings and floating certain people, right, into certain roles. And instead of hiring one person, I could have figured out how to hire 3 and built the business to grow beyond what it was. But I was early. I was young, this was, what year was it? I don't know. Adding up, but I was still young in this process. And but if I would have brought those 3 people on, one was a good marketer and great at social media. One was a great operations or project manager type, and the other was a good salesman. So that, in its collective sense, was. Give me a second. I'm losing my train of thought. So that was a way that would actually expand my operational capacity, expand what my business can do. And instead of growing, that first quarter when those 3 were working with us, we exponentially grew. If we would have continued that on and then reinvested everything back into the business that we made through that growth and done that, it could have grown even bigger. Up until that point, the previous 2 years, we grew 200% year over year, each year. And that year we grew 126%. So that's an example. If we would have just reinvested, redone that, built up, we could have just continued to move that train down the road. But, I was young. We learn it. We live and we learn, and we go from there. So that's just how it goes. So I want to know where across your business inside of marketing, sales, fulfillment, and leadership, where are you not reinvesting? And where could you start making moves to reinvest back into your business to expand your operational capacity so you can transform what you're currently doing and where your business is going? All right. Thank you for having me today, and I'll talk to you soon. This concludes another episode of the Be Battle Ready Podcast, Daily Battle Edition. If you're a business owner with 3 to 20 people and you want to build a battle ready business so that you can go to war in the marketplace and win, head over to battlereadybusiness.com/go to get the conversation started. Other than that, I'll see you next time.